Namaste, good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's session on Mahatma letters. So, today we will be continuing with the last part of letter number 92 and 91 and 92, right? Okay. And we have with us Brother Shikhar Agnihotri, who is the international speaker for the Theosophical Society and the national lecturer for Indian section. So, let us begin our session today with the universal invocation. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you. Welcome once again. Brother Shikharji, I welcome you to today's session and request you to start with the session today.
Thank you, Vibaji, and namaste to everyone. Good evening, greetings to everyone from Adyar. And I would like to start with the Guru Mantra. Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaste to everyone once again, and as Vibhaji said, today is the concluding session of this letters 91 and 92. It's been a very long letter, so whatever is remaining, I will try to share some of the important things of the remaining part. And continuing from the last time, we had we were reading about how in this letter, Master has been trying to explain to AP Senate about the misunderstandings or the wrong assumptions that have been created, or a atmosphere of enmity and conspiracy theories that were developed against H.P. Blavatsky or both the founders by certain individuals who had their self-interest or there's some agenda either of revenge or getting some money or some other things, or to get some more power. So in the same continuation, we were in the place where Mahatma was explaining that the misunderstanding that it was not something like dishonesty on HPB's part, because she was all the time saying that she is the humble servant, and whatever phenomena was happening around her or she was doing, she was always saying that it's not me, it's not me, it's due to the brothers. I am but their humble and devoted slave and instrument. So Mahatma said this is, downright fib, means an unimportant lie, because they are saying, Mahatma says that she can and did produce phenomena owing to her own natural powers, combined with the several long years of regular training. And even they are saying that her phenomena or her powers of doing this were sometimes better, even more wonderful and more perfect than those of some of the high initiated chelas, whom she surpasses in artistic taste and purely Western appreciation of art. And then he gives an example of a reproduction of a painting, how she did better than Master Jewel Pool, who was on that till that time was not an adept. So what she did was, she kept on killing herself inch by inch, ready to give for Master's benefit and glory her life blood drop by drop, and still invariably denying before the witnesses that she had anything to do with it. So now Master is asking AP Senate, do you call this sublime, albeit foolish, self-abnegation, dishonest? I mean, since most of us are from Asiatic background, so maybe we understand that how it is like this sense of akarta, or feeling of instead of having the proud, okay, things change, but a general, a culture, if we have a look, like nobody ever had the copyright on the Vedas, or there, I mean, this all concept of copyright or patent, or I did it to make more benefit, all these things were not heard of in this part of the world. And so she being also like not taking credit for what she was doing, and people believe it to be, and they used it as against her that she is telling lies. So they are saying you may think like that, but we do not think like that. And she even overdid it when she till the time when Hari Chand, whom the person who betrayed both Swami Dayanand and the founders, and especially HPB later, she allowed CC Messi to believe that Hari Chand was a worthy chela of Yogi Dayanand. And now we can relate to that instance that happened, the phenomena we discussed in the last time, when CC Messi requested HPB to have something material, phenomenally materialized for him also, and a card case was found in his pocket, but with a facsimile signature of Harichand. So basically, even she was trying to prove in the eyes of people that Harichand was a very worthy chela and of the Swami Dayanand, because there was a newly developing connection between Theosophical Society and Swami Dayanand, and she wanted more and more support for the cause of Theosophy. So she was trying to maybe even impress the people that how good these people are. So that what Master is saying, that that is kind of foolish, and thinking that the person is doing good, but in the long term creates a misunderstanding and confusion. And she, after that phenomena of the card case, she went on to say for a long time, a fortnight, 15 days, that how great powers the Swami Dayanand has, and the virtues of Hari Chand, who was his disciple, and how terribly she was punished. I mean, the consequences we saw, that first the chela, that is Hari Chand, turning a traitor to his master, Swami Dayanand, and his allies, that is the founders of TS. He, did a fraud of 4,000 rupees. And then Swami Dayanand himself turned against the founders to his for his insatiable ambition, that he is the main person to turn the things around. Although the opposition of Hari Chand's treason did not affect HPB so much. Why? Because he duped both of them, Swami Dayanand and uh, the founders. So Swami Dayanand himself took the defense of the founders in his hand. But when Swami Dayanand himself turned against the uh, founders, H.P. Blavatsky and Colonel Olcott, then it was, and why it happened? Because he thought that Theosophical Society was also writing against the Vedas, and the whole blame fell on unfortunate and too devoted woman, who few days back was singing praises for him, but then in the letter of the Theosophist she had to write and expose in the defense, self-defense, what the true motives and the malified intentions of Swami Dayananda were. So all this, that Master is saying that this is the true history and the facts with regard to the so-called deception that people blame HPB for. And at best, it was dishonest zeal. That is uh, too much enthusiasm for doing something. So no doubt she has merited the portion of the blame, and most undeniably she is given to the exaggeration in general. So there is no wonder that she has faced the consequences of such zeal that she showed. And when talking about exaggeration, Master is clearly saying that HPB sometimes exaggerates when she's talking about, especially about the people and talking about themselves, that when she talks about the masters, she makes them like angel of purity and light, shorn of his wings. And sometimes masters say that we cannot help feeling at times angry and sometimes even laughing at the feelings that dictates all this ridiculous effusion. I mean, it's laughable with too much energy, but too sincere and true. And we cannot treat it with indifference. And even he is saying, the master is saying that what HPB did upon meeting them in person, first couple of years before and then repeated again, that what in India we call Shashtang Pranam, and and then put your face down in the earth and whenever we do Shashtang Pranam. So he was saying that I was so profoundly touched by anything I witnessed in all my life with the poor old creatures, that is HPB's ecstatic rapture when meeting us both, and even our phlegmatic M. Phlegmatic means the person who is not so much affected by emotions or beyond emotions. Even he was thrown off his balance by such an exhibition. So her feelings, her reverence, her faith, trust in the masters was so strong that I mean, they are saying that M had to plunge her into profound sleep. Otherwise, she would have burst some blood vessels in her bliss, in her happiness, in her joy of seeing the master. And therefore, they say that of course she is utterly unfit for a true adept. Her nature is too passionately affectionate, and we have no right to indulge in personal attachments and feelings. But still, they are saying that to APCNet that we can see all those things, that superficially or on the surface, this is all her behavior. But we can see also inside, in her heart, in her mind, in her motives and her real feelings. And that is why what we can see, you will never be able to see what she really is. In your opinion, HPB is at best a strange woman, psychological riddle, impulsive and kind-hearted, yet not free from the vice of untruth, all these things. We, on the other hand, under the garb of eccentricity and folly, we find a profounder wisdom in her inner self that you will never find yourself able to perceive. So this is one of the things that also if we read HP at the feet of the master, it is very clearly said there that we are often deceived by the appearances, or deceived means by our own prejudices. We see a person behaving in a certain manner, and without giving it a second thought, without giving the benefit of doubt, we make a prejudice about the person, and then we go on thinking about that person, that he or she is like that. But maybe that what we are seeing is only a something not usual, or even if it usual, if it was only on the surface, but the inner motives of the person were pure. And that is the only thread by which we can connect with the other person. If we let ourselves be influenced by the superficial action of others, then it will be very difficult to love or to feel brotherly or sisterly for them. As Mother Teresa has said that if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So that is one of the very deep mysteries, that when we are looking at the person, we looking at the outer garment, or we are looking at the inner, the essence. So after all this, when he has told Epicene, he says, now you tell this to CC Messi, because that this is one more reason why we can question that why the master is not telling CC Messi directly. And he says that I have closely watched him, and I'm pretty certain that what you will tell him will have far more effect upon him than what a dozen KHs might tell him personally. So again, uh, you see, sometimes it's not good enough from which direction the good thing or the truth is coming. We want to see even the truth coming from in a particular form or a particular person, then only we take it, which is of course an obstacle, because let the noble thoughts come from all directions, and that can only happen when we do not have any prejudices against anyone. And that's what he's telling, why, due to his faith in the assertions of a European living friend, can never be shaken by the assurance to the contrary made by Asiatics, who to him are, if not mere figments, are unscrupulous confederates. I mean, he will of course believe Epicene more than the Master KH. Now he's going to share one more thing. The master says that I'm going to approach one more subject which is very repulsive to your mind. And this subject is about the trials and the tests a chela, or a person rather, is put through when that person aspires to work along the lines of occultism, or aspires to become a disciple or come in contact with the masters. All such individuals are put through such tests. So that's what he's saying, that you have often asked me the question that why should the brothers refuse turning their attention to such worthy, sincere theosophists as C.C. Messi and Hood, or a precious person as Stent and Moses. So now he's saying, I will answer you clearly that we have done so. That we have done so means we have put our attention to such people ever since the said gentleman came into contact and communication with HPB. So because, I mean, HPB was their direct agent, so coming in touch of HPB means coming in contact, indirect contact or touch of the masters. And they were all tried and tested in various ways, and not one of them came up to the desired mark. And he's saying that Mahamoria gave special attention to C.C. Messi for reasons I will now explain, and the results as at present known to you, that he already, started spreading negativity about HPB. And so even he is saying that to Epicene, that you may think that these methods are of testing people are dishonest, that before taking a test, we should inform the person, like we are used to in schools and colleges, that we know what is the syllabus, we know that exams are coming and there is a test, and we prepare. But This is the school of life. And in the school of life, every situation, every circumstance, every moment can be taken as a test. And if we all look within, we will realize that our behavior changes when we know, or when we are aware of, that we are being watched, or when we are tested. And actually, this is one of the way of, you can say, cultivation of discipline that people use sometimes, that when they suppose they are angry and suddenly they think, okay, what if the master was right in front of me, or if the master sees me like this? What happens immediately? The reverence for the master, or the thought of the master, overcomes the anger, and the anger is gone, at least for some time. So this may be a helpful tool for the individual who uses it. But when masters are testing the person, if they let the person know that you are being now going to be tested, then of course the real nature of the person will never come out. And that is what the master is saying, that in along the same lines, all these people, CC Messi and Ross Scott, and even HPB was after the master, that they are her two staunch devoted friends whom I never had before. And she assured her boss, that is the master, that one, and then the result was that one was tested and tried for 3 years, other for 3 months, and we all know the results. And similarly, the another case of Fern, and they say how they are explaining how they failed with each and all of them. Taking the example of Fern, master says that a hint as to even more serious methods adopted in individual cases to thoroughly test the latent moral qualities of the person, because every human being contains within himself vast potentialities, which normally may never come to the surface, but they only come to the surface when that opportunity, or when that situation comes. And maybe that is why often we think that why there are so many lifetimes that a person has to take to be in that stage where of evolved consciousness, or become an adept, or at least become so without prejudices and conditionings. The answer is very simple, that in one life, actually, the experience is very limited. And experience is very limited means the people, they pass through a very fixed life, like after being born, growing up, school, college, and life, a married life or household life, or whatever kind of that, and job, and then growing old, and then passing away from this plane. Now, very uh, rarely, not, I mean, rarely, or some people have the life in a very smooth manner, some have like in a very different manner. So suppose somebody has spent all his life working as a soldier, or a doctor, or an engineer, or, I mean, the profession takes over our life, which normally it does. Or maybe in certain part of country, maybe the person was born and brought up and lived entirely in a desert, or in a mountain, or near the oceans. All of those things make our mind condition, which we do not realize until and unless we get out of that situation. Like a very, very poor person, let's say, suddenly gets a lottery, a lot of money, or a very, very rich person suddenly goes bankrupt. So these are the kind of different experiences that are not possible in one life. So, that's why maybe there are so many lifetime. Of course, when a person becomes more and more aware on this path, then all these prejudices and conditionings are being, they begin to dissolve by this is the main sadhana, as I understand. So that's what they are telling, that all these potentialities, and every human being want potentially, and it's the duty of the adepts to surround the would-be chela with circumstances which shall enable him to take the right hand path. This is very, very important and occult principle, that that's why in Mahatma letters, Mahatma has said themselves that please don't be in a hurry to become our disciple, or don't think of just discipleship that you want to be in touch with us. Because the moment this will or sankalp or aspiration comes, all these occult principles and occult powers, they begin to function. And then because I mean they want to see, how, what is the real, if the person is really made up of that thing which is needed for this path, that even the worst and extreme situations the person will choose the right hand path and not turn to some other direction, in some other direction. So that's why, if he has the ability in him to check this, and we are no more at liberty to withhold the chance from a postulant than we are to guide and direct him into the proper course. So that is why we can only show him after his probation period was successfully terminated, that if he does this, he will go right, if the other wrong. So maybe we all understand and realize that in our life also sometimes the situations come that with a small lie, which we know maybe it may never be found out, and if we use that lie, we can get some benefit, or simple, we can say, practical solution or something like that. But if we go as per the procedure and doing everything, it will take long, it will take more energy, effort. So which path, which process or procedure do we choose in our daily life? So if we start thinking even from the smallest of the actions, efforts, and projects in our life, that will one day lead us to that situation, when even in the worst of situation, like so many times we hear that, let's say somebody is as a witness in the court, or to go for the testimony, but the person is threatened for life, or even tempted by money, and even ultimately, that the person is uh, murdered, so that the person is not able to speak the truth. But see the courage and the integrity of that person, those who, you know, uh, pass through that no matter of temptation or fear or threatening can are able to force them to change their decision of staying on the path of truth. So those are the situations when the character of a person is really tested. So we allow our candidates to be tempted in 1,000 various ways, so as to draw out the whole of their inner nature and allow it the chance of remaining conqueror either one way or the other. And he is saying that it has happened to everyone in the past, and it will happen to everyone on this path who wants to, like he said earlier, the adept is made. Adept is not made, adept becomes by the efforts. And whoever, for whom him who attacks Mara single-handed and conquers the demon of lust and earthly passions, and not we, but he himself puts it on his brow. That is the crown of adeptship. And therefore, he who masters self is greater than he who conquers thousands in battle. Therefore, there is no such other difficult struggle. And if it were not so, adeptship would be but a cheap acquirement. So that's why he's saying, my brother, don't be surprised and don't be surprised. Be not surprised and do not blame us readily that you have already done. And at any development of our policy, because for being from the another culture, for him it was like a very not such a good thing. So what may seem present bad faith may end in the end prove the truest, most benevolent loyalty, that the relationship of the master and the disciple. Now in the last part, master comes to another matter which is more of an administrative aspect for the Theosophical Society, and also at the same time it gives us all a view or vision of the masters, what they expected from the lodges and different branches of the Theosophical Society. And they say that we have a reform in our head and I look to you to help me. And what was that reform? I mean, the reason for that was Mr. Hume's annoying and indiscreet interference with the parent society. He was the president of the Shimla Eclectic Theosophical Society, but using his status and his attitude of dominant attitude, he was, as we have seen in the past, all the time interfering, proposing himself better than HPB and Colonel Olcott for being eligible to receive the direct contact with the masters and whatnot, writing against the founders and even HPB, but a lot of things were happening. So, and it affected the Theosophical Society, the parent body, because although just in the beginning of this letter, we come to know that A.O. Hume has resigned as the president and A.P. Sinnett has taken as the president. So that is why master is saying the reform is that all the branches of the Theosophical Society were depending too much and they have looked too often and too unnecessarily to the parent body for guidance and as an exemplar to follow, that whatever parent body, that is HPB and HSO or ADR, will tell them, guide them, then they will follow. This is quite impracticable, the master says. Why? Because besides the fact that the founders have to show themselves and try earnestly to be all to everyone and all things, it's very impracticable because, I mean, later on what he is explaining, that each lodge or each branch is in a different geographical, cultural, social, political atmosphere, environment. So the center, the headquarter or the parent body, for the parent body to be at the same time, the source of guidance and everything, or let's say the examples or setting of some uh, rules or regulations, it's very difficult because each body is in a different situation and may require a different treatment. So although they try to be impartial and never refuse uh, one one branch what they may have accorded to another party, like there was criticism about Vedantism, Hinduism, and Buddhism in the or upon the Ved Bhashyas of Swami Dayanand and their staunchest, who was their staunchest and most valued ally. But because such criticisms were against non-Christian faiths, so no one ever paid the slightest attention to it. But when there was such writings against the Christian faith, So that's what we discussed earlier, that Colonel Chesney, he began to think that theosophist or the theosophy is only against Christianity, but he never paid attention before that actually theosophy actually was not against any particular faith, but theosophy was only through the theosophist. The aim was only to bring out, or the sifting of the real religious teachings, esoteric teachings, and removing from them the superstitions and the unnecessarily necessary ceremonies or the agency of the priest or pope or uh, any intermediary in between. So in view, so how to correct that? So for that, there is master proposed the idea of placing the branches on a different footing. Like what he says, even in Christianity, there is like although there's talk about brotherhood, or even in, let's take for example, Hinduism also talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but there were so many distinctions, discriminations, even in Christianity, and even to the extent of some not believing in Pope, and even often being an enemy to each other. So that's exactly what he says we don't want in theosophical family, that one branch or section or lodge is against the another branch or section or lodge. Just because something is written against Hinduism or Christianity. So now what he is proposing, that let them all be chartered and initiated by the parent society, that's what happens, and depend on it nominally, that for very minimal things, like okay, the charter is given from the headquarter and the parent body, and minimal guidance in membership or some other administrative or spiritual aspects. At the same time, let every branch before it is chartered choose some one object to work for. And now he very clearly says that definite object, although all of them are in harmony with the parent body as per the three objectives are concerned, but yet a distinct and definite object of its own, whether in the religious, now these are very important words, religious, educational, or philosophical line. Because very often we have seen over a period of time that theosophical society has completely focused on the philosophical line, and religious line, of course, if we read the book Key to Hindu Symbolism by Dr. I.K. Tamini, or reading your own religion through the eyes or the keys that are being given to us by secret doctrine or theosophy, that brings the revolution. Similarly, education. Now, a lot of sections, and even Theosophical Society here at ADR, we have the pilot project in the education field also. So this would allow the society a broader margin for its general operations, and more real, useful work would be done. And as every branch would be, so to say, independent in its modus operandi. So there is no like authority of the parent body on the branch. They can choose whatever, in whatever direction aim they want to do, as far as it is in harmony with the objects of the theosophical society. And at the same time, master is saying that, see, this is only a very hazy sketch, uh, vague idea in my mind, but I know that in your business like head, you can think upon it, and you can even write a paper upon it in the Theosophist. If not possible, okay, on the November issue, you can put it on the December issue, but he will feel very good if at least AP Senate can write a feeler, like a trailer, what we say these days, something along those lines in the November issue, as a reply to Colonel Olcott's, no, sorry, A.O. Hume, what he wrote against all the society, as a reply to his letter, and in the December issue he can come upon a more definite proposal. And even see here, Master is clearly saying that we cannot entrust with such a subject which requires the most delicate handling either one or the other of our editors, that is HPB or HSO. So you see, no matter that how close HPB and HSO are to the masters, but still uh, they are requesting AP Senate to help in this, especially in this aspect, how to present it in the Theosophist. And he is saying that if the Shimla Eclectic Society was placed like this from the beginning, it might have fared better. And therefore he is just giving an example. Thus, a branch composed of mild Christians sympathizing with the objects of society might remain neutral in the question of every other religion and utterly indifferent to and unconcerned with the private beliefs of the founders, because that was also a matter of uh, you know uh, uh, people arguing with one another that when HPB and HSO took adopted Buddhism, so what they personally believe or what they don't believe should not be a matter of discussion in the whole world, just because they are the founders, or if just because in the Theosophist some article is written about the Christianity or the Buddhism, or which criticizing them especially. So not the rest of the world should take offense to it, but uh, what he says, the Theosophist making room as willingly for hymns on the lamb as for shlokas on the sacredness of the cow. So that's how people may begin to be more tolerant and understanding and respecting each other's way of life. Okay, and then coming to the last part, which is an interesting thing. Before that, Master KH is saying that M thinks that the supplement, that is the magazine, ought to be enlarged if necessary. That is, the number of pages should be increased and made to furnish room for the expression of thought of every branch, however diametrically opposed these may be. And the Theosophist ought to be made to assume distinct color and become a unique specimen of its own. And we are ready to furnish the necessary extra sums for it, that is money. And now he says a very, very important thing. I know you will catch my idea, however hazily expressed. I leave our plan entirely in your hands. Success in this will counteract the effects of the cyclic crisis. So first thing, we have to understand that we have once earlier in the letter also the Mahatma has mentioned about the cyclical, that there is a wave of mysticism which is passing over, the cyclic wave of mysticism uh, over Europe. So basically there are cycles in nature, cycles of we can call them ups and downs, but basically the different influences in nature. So things happen along those lines. But what he is saying that success in this will counteract the effects of cyclic crisis. Like with our efforts in the right direction, we can minimize such effects, at least to some certain extent. That's what is more important to know. And in the end, he's saying, I cannot close without telling you of an incident which, however ludicrous, like it's hilarious, but has led to something that makes me thank my stars for it and will please you also. And why I would like to share in the beginning itself why he's saying that he would like to thank his stars. I mean, Master saying that he would like to thank his stars because At the end of this incident, he received such a support from the Mahachauhan, from that who was always, from master's point of view, he is so strict and stern and about this whole theosophical project, so many limitations he is putting and all those things. But he helped the master in doing something with a smile, and from which the master says that he has hope that this movement will continue. And what that incident was, that he received the letter of APCNet, and your letter enclosing that of CC Messi was received by me on the morning following the date that you handed over to Little Man, that is Darbagirinath. He handed to him, and following day he received. But the master was very busy, and he was just, there is there is a monastery, there is a boundary wall, and from the boundary wall normally you have to walk some distance in the open courtyard and then you enter the building. So he was along those steps, and he was very much engaged in the talking with the Lama Tontu Gyatso. And he opened the letter and he thought he put it back. He did not have time to read, so he put it in the bag. He thought he put it in the bag, but somehow, or due to some maybe, you know maybe not, instead of putting in the bag, it just slided down outside the bag and fell on the ground there. And he was still walking, and in the meantime he heard somebody, a young gelong, calling out from a window, that's what is happening. And he turned around, and in a fraction of a second he realized, the master realized, what's happening was there was an old goat who decided to make that letter to make a good meal out of it. So the goat started taking that letter and started chewing it, but very quickly master reached there and took it out from the jaws of the goat. So, saying that the creature had already devoured and eaten part of CC Messi's letter and thoughtfully preparing to have a bite at yours, that is AP Sinets. So he took it out, but now he's saying, now you know why. Now seeing that, I mean, he does not have the letter, it's already chewed by the goat. Now you know why I felt embarrassed, master is saying for himself, because I had no right to restore it. You see, sometimes we think at our level ourselves to be beyond certain laws and rules and regulations. So what is, even small things, we can just bypass it. But even at that level, a law is a law, a rule is a rule. So he was thinking that no right to restore the letters coming from the eclectic and connected directly with the hapless palings on all sides. So basically, anything coming from this theosophical movement, he had no right to restore. And now he's thinking, what could I do to restore? And I had already resolved to humbly crave permission. Now, what he's sharing, what was going on inside him, that he already thought, he had resolved that, okay, he will go and ask the Chauhan that can an exception be made. You see, we so often want exceptions to be made for ourselves at this level also. In the case of dire necessity, then something amazing happened. And he says, when I saw his holy face before me, with his eye twinkling in quite an unusual manner, and heard his voice, why break the rule? I will do it myself. These simple words, he writes in Tibetan, that I will do it, contain a world of hope for me. He has restored the missing parts and done it quite neatly too, as you can see, and even transformed the crumpled, broken envelope, which was very damaged, into a new one. And everything crest and everything was new. Now I know that what great power had to be used for such a restoration. And this leads me to hope for a relaxation of severity one of these days by the Chauhan. So that is what interesting incident that the master was saying that happened. And in the last, he is saying, imagine when AP Senate asked Darba Girinath to transfer this letter via space in front of him, and he did not accept. He should not, AP Senate should not feel bad, because even he himself, the master, he is bound by the rules not to restore the letter. So how, if he is bound by the rules, the chela is also bound by the rules not to do things. And one other minor point is that Darbagiri Nath was right about the pronunciation of the word Kyute, the book from which it is said that the shlokas of Dhyan were taken. Some people you normally pronounce it as Kyoto, but it is not correct. And also at the same time, his view about the planetary spirits were wrong, because actually planetary spirit, what he thought you were asking about devas, who were in a lower hierarchy than the Dhyani Chauhans, who are the planetary spirits who act at the level of the planets. And of course, it is illogical to say that adepts are greater than the planetary spirits, because all the adepts aspire to be Dhyani Chauhans in the end. But as we discussed earlier, that there is an abyss between the lower and the higher degree of planetaries, which are still who have to undergo through evolution, and those who have already passed the evolution. And then in the end, he said they are not even the angels or little gods, because occultism is certainly not necessary for becoming a good, pure ego, an angel, because angelhood is the result of karma. So basically, that is another hint that if just a person is not interested in any sort of occultism, just doing service, good deeds in the name of God or a higher power, most likely after passing away from the physical body, the soul may take the evolution of an angel. And with this, the letter comes to an end, and he says that I believe you will not complain of my letter being too short. So there is always a sense of humor that we see in these letters, along with the deep and profound teachings that we always hear, not just esoteric teachings, but also teachings related to the practical daily life. So thank you all, and thank you for allowing me to share this letter.
Shikhaji, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and insights about this letter. It was one very long letter, and I will request Meenakshi ji to give us the translation in Hindi.
नमस्ते सभी को. थैंक यू सिस्टर. थैंक यू ब्रदर शिखर जी. आज हम लेटर नंबर 92 का आखिरी भाग ले रहे हैं. मास्टर सीनेट से एचपीबी के बारे में कहते हैं कि एचपीबी की नैसर्गिक सिद्धियों के कारण और कई वर्षों के नियमित प्रशिक्षण द्वारा वह अद्भुत घटनाएं उत्पन्न कर सकती है, और उन्होंने ऐसे प्रसंग घटित भी किए हैं. उनके फिनोमिना कई बार उच्च और दीक्षित चेलाओं की तुलना में अद्भुत और अति उत्तम होते हैं. हमारी मदद करना यही उनका एकमात्र मकसद था, और इस तरह वह खुद का जीवन धीरे धीरे कुर्बान कर रही थी. हमारे उद्देश्य के और गौरव की खातिर अपना बलिदान दे रही थी. फिर भी वह प्रत्यक्षदर्शियों से कहती थी कि इन घटनाओं में उनका कोई लेना देना नहीं है. मास्टर पूछते हैं कि क्या आप इस उदात्त लेकिन मूर्खतापूर्ण आत्म बलिदान को धोखाधड़ी कहेंगे? हम यह नहीं मानते. इसमें कोई शक नहीं कि उनके ऊपर के कुछ आरोपों की वह जिम्मेदार है. उन्होंने अतिशयोक्ति की है, और जिनके लिए उनकी भक्ति है, जिनके लिए वह समर्पित है, उनके लिए एचपीबी के अपार उत्साह की कोई सीमा नहीं है। अर्हता के लिए वह बिल्कुल उपयुक्त नहीं है। उनका स्वभाव बहुत ही स्नेहशील है और हमें व्यक्तिगत लगाव और भावनाओं में लिप्त होने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं। एचपीबी को जितना हम समझते हैं, जानते हैं, उतना आप कभी नहीं जान पाएंगे। उन्हें आप में से कोई भी निष्पक्ष रूप से और सही ढंग से समझ नहीं पाएंगे। आप सिर्फ ऊपरी सतह को देखते हैं, ऊपरी तौर पर देखते हैं, ऊपरी दिखावों पर ही सद्गुणों को आंकते हैं। हम किसी भी वस्तु की संपूर्णतः गहराई नाप कर ही अपनी राय बनाते हैं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि आपने अक्सर यह प्रश्न रखा है कि हमने सीसी मेसी, हुड, स्टैंटन मोजेस जैसे योग्य और निष्ठावान सदस्यों की तरफ ध्यान क्यों नहीं दिया। उत्तर में वे कहते हैं कि यह सभी सज्जन जब से एचपीबी के संपर्क में आए तब से वे हमारे ध्यान में है, नजर में है। इन सभी को विभिन्न तरीकों से आजमाया गया, परखा गया, लेकिन उनमें से एक भी खरे नहीं उतरे। मास्टर एम ने सीसी मेसी पर विशेष ध्यान दिया, लेकिन नतीजा आप जानते हैं। लोगों को इस तरह गुप्त रूप से परखने की पद्धत गलत है, उन्हें आगाह करना चाहिए, ऐसा आपका विचार हो सकता है, लेकिन यह एक यूरोपीय दृष्टिकोण है। एशियाई होने के नाते हम अपने नियमों को लांघ नहीं सकते। मनुष्य का चरित्र, उसका वास्तविक आंतरिक स्वभाव कभी भी पूरी तरह उभर कर बाहर नहीं आएगा जब वह समझ जाए कि उस पर किसी की नजर है। प्रत्येक मनुष्य के अंतरतम असंख्य क्षमताएं होती है। यदि संभावित चेला में योग्यता हो तो यह महात्माओं का कर्तव्य है कि उसे ऐसी परिस्थितियों से घेरा जाए जिससे कि वह उचित यानी सही दिशा चुनने में सक्षम बने। हम किसी याचक के उचित मार्ग पर चलने के अवसर रोकने के लिए स्वतंत्र नहीं है, जैसे हम उसे मार्गदर्शन और निर्देशन करने के लिए स्वतंत्र हैं। उसके प्रोबेशन काल के सफलतापूर्वक समाप्ति पर ही उसे बता सकते हैं कि क्या करने से वह सही या गलत दिशा में जाएगा। प्रोबेशन काल को वह जब तक पार नहीं करता, हम उसे अपनी लड़ाइयाँ खुद अपने बलबूते पर लड़ने के लिए छोड़ देते हैं। हम अपने कैंडिडेट्स को हजारों प्रकार के तरीकों से प्रलोभित कराते हैं, जिससे कि उसका आंतरिक स्वभाव खुलकर बाहर आए और वह किसी न किसी दिशा में विजयी बने। विजेता का मुकुट उसी के लिए होता है जो उसे पहनने की योग्यता साबित करता है। उसके लिए वो अकेले अपने बलबूते पर मार पर प्रहार करके वासनाओं और सांसारिक लालसाओं पर विजय प्राप्त करता है। विजय का मुकुट हम नहीं बल्कि वह स्वयं अपने माथे पर रखता है। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि तथागत ने यह सच ही कहा था कि जो भी स्वयं को काबू में रखता है वह एक युद्ध में हजारों पर विजय प्राप्त करने वाले से भी श्रेष्ठ होता है। इससे अधिक कठिन संघर्ष दूसरा कोई नहीं। यदि ऐसा न होता तो अरहत पद यह एक बहुत ही मामूली प्राप्ति होती। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि सोसाइटी के व्यवस्थापन में सुधारना आवश्यक है, जरूरी है। हमारे मन में एक योजना है और हम आपकी मदद की आशा रखते हैं, ऐसा मास्टर सीनेट से कहते हैं। वे कहते हैं कि सोसाइटी की हर एक शाखा को यह ज्ञात होने दे कि अभी तक वे सोसाइटी की मुख्य शाखा पर मार्गदर्शन के लिए और उसका उदाहरण सामने रखकर अनुसरण करने के लिए निर्भर है। यह अव्यवहार्य है। वास्तव में संस्थापक यदि चाहे तब भी सभी को उनके मतानुसार संतुष्ट करना संभव नहीं है। जिन बातों को लेकर वह एक से सहमत हुए वे उसी बात पर दूसरों से असहमत नहीं होंगे। वे निष्पक्ष रहने का प्रयास करते हैं। इसी तरह उन्होंने वेदांतवाद, बौद्ध धर्म और हिंदू धर्म और स्वामी दयानंद के वेद भाष्य पर की अपनी विविध शाखाओं में प्रकाशित वेद भाष्य पर की समीक्षाओं को अपनी विविध शाखाओं में प्रकाशित किया। चूंकि यह समीक्षाएं गैर ईसाई धर्मों के खिलाफ थी, किसी का उसकी ओर जरा भी ध्यान नहीं गया, लेकिन ह्यूम संस्थापकों के विरुद्ध सार्वजनिक तौर पर कड़ी निंदा कर रहे हैं और वह ईसाई धर्म के विरुद्ध छपे पत्रकों के प्रसारण पर रोक लगाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। इसीलिए मैं चाहता हूं कि आप कर्नल चेस्नी को इसके पीछे का तथ्य बताएं, जिनकी यह कल्पना है कि थियोसॉफी सिर्फ ईसाई धर्म के विरोध में है, जबकि थियोसॉफी तो सभी धर्मों को लेकर निष्पक्ष है। संस्थापकों के व्यक्तिगत विचार चाहे जो भी हो, सोसाइटी की पत्रिका से उसका कोई वास्ता नहीं है, और उसमें जैसे लामाइज्म के विरुद्ध आलोचना होती है, वैसे ही क्रिश्चियनिज्म के विरुद्ध में होगी। मास्टर सीनेट से पूछते हैं कि थियोसॉफी की शाखाओं को एक अलग आधार पर रखने की कल्पना पर आपके क्या विचार हैं? वे कहते हैं कि थियोसॉफी की सभी शाखाओं को मुख्य शाखा द्वारा पहले की तरह चार्टर्ड और कार्यान्वित रहने दे और उस पर नाम मात्र के लिए निर्भर रहने दे। इसी के साथ हर शाखा चार्टर्ड होने से पहले अपने कार्य के लिए किसी एक लक्ष्य को चुने, ऐसा लक्ष्य जिसका स्वाभाविक रूप से थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के सामान्य सिद्धांतों से तालमेल हो, फिर भी अपना एक विशिष्ट और निश्चित उद्देश्य, चाहे धार्मिक या शैक्षणिक या दार्शनिक क्षेत्र से संबंधित हो। अधिक उपयोगी कार्य करने हेतु सोसाइटी को अपने संचालन में व्यापकता मिलेगी। इस तरह प्रत्येक शाखा के स्वतंत्र रूप से कार्य करने पर शिकायत की और हस्तक्षेप करने की कोई गुंजाइश नहीं रहेगी। फिर भी प्रत्येक शाखा को अपना स्वतंत्र कार्य करने में अनुमति हो जो उन सिद्धांतों से टकराता न हो। इस तरह सोसाइटी के उद्देश्यों को मानने वाले सौम्य क्रिश्चियन से बनी शाखा दूसरे धर्मों के मुद्दे पर निष्पक्ष रहेगी और संस्थापकों के निजी मान्यता के प्रति पूरी तरह से उदासीन रहेगी। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि मास्टर एम का कहना है कि यदि जरूरत हो तो थियोसॉफिस्ट को और बढ़ाए, जिसमें सभी शाखाओं के विचारों को व्यक्त करने के लिए जगह बने, चाहे इसका विरोध ही क्यों न हो। आगे मास्टर एक ऐसी घटना का जिक्र करते हैं कि फारीजोंग मोनेस्ट्री में मास्टर को सीसी मेसी का पत्र, जो सीनेट ने अपने पत्र सहित उन्हें भेजा था, उसे बकरी खा जाती है और मास्टर को उस पत्र को ठीक करने का अधिकार नहीं था। तब महाचौहान उन्हें मदद करते हैं, उसे ठीक करते हैं। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि एक चेला और मास्टर्स को अपनी शक्ति प्रदर्शन करने की मनाही होती है, यह आपको ज्ञात है। फिर भी हमारे चेला ने आपके पत्र को आपके समक्ष आकाश से न भेजने पर आप निराश क्यों हुए? ऐसी अपेक्षा क्यों की? आगे वे कहते हैं कि ध्यान चौहान ही प्लेनेटरी स्पिरिट्स है और सभी अर्हत अंत में ध्यान चौहान बनने के लिए प्रयत्नशील होते हैं। फिर भी कुछ अर्हत प्लेनेटरी के निम्न स्तर से भी उच्च होते हैं। देवाचन में या उसके परे एक जीवात्मा को देव यानी एंजल या स्पिरिट बनने के लिए गूढ़ ज्ञान निश्चित ही जरूरी नहीं है, क्योंकि यह उन्हें कर्मों के परिणाम स्वरूप प्राप्त होता है। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for this, for your sincere effort, how much effort you spent in this accurate translation. Thank you so much. And now I will request any our participants, if anybody has any doubts, so they can please unmute and speak. And before we receive any question from today's participants, I have received a question from Brother Sharma ji from Ujjain, and this is regarding the point which was covered in the previous session. So I'll just read out what his question was, and Shikharji, perhaps you would like to discuss on that. There was a statement in the letter that Mahatma Ji says our chelas are helped, but when they are innocent of causes that lead them into trouble, when such causes are generated by foreign outside influences. So he would like to know what is the meaning of foreign outside influences, the causes that are created by foreign outside influences. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharma ji, no?
Yes.
Yes. No, thank you. Yes. Actually, this is a very interesting thing because normally what we think as that whatever we face is as per the law of karma that comes back to us. But there are still, I mean, we can only try to understand law of karma from our limited mind. We don't know the complexities of it. But there is always the situation, and even like many times it has mentioned, even in the Mahatma letters, when they are talking about life after death section, they have mentioned about the people who die in accidents sometimes, which is not in that life that they were supposed to die like that, but it happens sometimes, or they are saved from that situation because sometimes when an accident or when a natural disaster is happening, a lot of people who, they migrate from there, or some people who are involved in that or who have to be in that situation, they come there and it happens. But still there are always some cases or some situation, things may happen which were not bound to happen or in the destiny of the person. So such people are saved by not, I would say, not human effort, but by invisible efforts. Even what we see in cases of Annie Besant, life of Annie Besant, that when she was passing, I read that instance once, that she was passing from a certain street and there was some riot or some violence was happening for some reason. And then, and if she continued on that path, she would have definitely she would have gotten something, some mishappening would have happened. Suddenly what happened, she says that she felt like somebody has lifted her from that place and kept her in some other place. Now, this kind of help, we can see also that this help was also as part of the karma, right? That she deserved it. But since what Master is saying, that sometimes what happens is, in reference to the things that happened to H.P. Blavatsky, that a lot of those things happened due to her excessive zeal or over enthusiasm, due to which she did certain things which she was not supposed to do, and she attracted some of those negativity. But when a person is doing the work with prudence, silently, normally, and the left hand powers, which are also working at the same time to dissuade the person from the right hand path, when they plan to uh, you know influence the disciple, these are the external influences, that although the disciple is walking the path and as per the rules and regulations, but then there are always powers which are not set forth by the masters to test or something else, but these are the what we read about the right-hand path or left-hand path, that they try to dissuade the person from the path. In such cases, the masters do help the disciple when the causes of that are not generated by the person himself or herself. That's what I understand, because maybe there are some other external influences than this, or a person caught up, like suppose you are along with a person who has to face a certain karma, and with in an accident or something like that, or natural disaster, although all the efforts will be made to save you or whoever is to be saved, but in some cases, if it is not possible, then even that person is helped after he passes or she passes from the body. That's what I can think of, Vibhaji, if you want to add something.
Right, Shikhaji, you have explained that at length very nicely. I would just like to add some more points to it. The part what you have covered in the letter today, I think it gives the answer to this question. And one point you have already covered, that there might be external negative forces, foreign influences, which are called like the brothers of shadow or brothers of darkness, following the left hand path, and they try to dissuade the aspirant or the chela from following the path of light. The other uh, factors which can create causes are: one, that the master says it is the duty of the adepts to surround the would-be chela with circumstances which shall enable him to take the right hand path. So these are not circumstances created by the chela's karma. They are created by the adepts to enable him to work out his probationary period, or to unfold some of his qualities, or maybe to test his vivek, to test whether he can see through appearances. So these are basically tests. Another point is that they allow the candidate to be tempted in 1,000 ways so as to draw out whole of their inner nature and allow it the chance of remaining the conqueror. Now, to be tempted in 1,000 different ways, I remember in some previous letter, Mahatma Ji mentioned that they take the services of ex-Dukpas. They are the brothers of darkness, but they have left that left-hand path, and now they are ex-Dukpas, but they are still very well versed in the occult art. So they are employed by the master to create situations where the chela can be tested and his qualities can unfold. So through his experience, he can take decisions. So these two factors, where master himself is creating circumstances, so they are external causes, and the case of ex-Dukpas, where they are creating the causes. And the third one, which you already mentioned, Shikharji, that genuinely some dark forces are trying to create obstacles in the path of the uh, aspirant, because as soon as he steps on the occult path, all these occult forces come into play. So these are I think, the external causes which affect the aspirant. And yes, one more thing which you mentioned was the case of that Akal Mrityu. It was not his turn to die, but still, you know. So in these kind of tests, when the master sees that there is danger to the life or limb of the aspirant, then they will intervene to protect him, as they protected HPP, as they protected Annie Besant. Both of them were probationary chelas. So I hope this is
Okay,
clear.
thank you, both of you. Shall I add one more question?
Yes, please.
KH says, KH goes on to state, I am not prepared just now to afford the British Theosophists the proof of our existence in flesh and bones. All this is question of time and karma. This time and karma is not understood.
Okay. I think, yeah, I is a little bit explained in that time that many of the things in the Mahatma letters, they have mentioned again and again that some things actually do not worth to take any action of, and let the time and karma do whatever is needed. Like suppose many times maybe you see some person is doing wrong or not so correct thing. One way is directly you just go and confront the person and say things, but if the person is not in a good in not in harmony with you, instead of correcting oneself, the it will take offense and even do some more reaction. Similarly, when suppose there are some gossips going around about a particular person, or suppose you or me, or the more you try to answer, the more you try to justify, the more you give an explanation, the things get even worse. And because people have already made up their mind and they are already prejudiced about certain things. So what he is suggesting that people are already full of this prejudice that KH and M and all these people are the figments of imagination of HPB, and they actually do not exist in flesh and bones. And if at all there is somebody like this, they are confederates of HPB, means they are her assistants in this conspiracy and deceiving and tricking people. So that's what he's saying, that I cannot afford, basically he cannot afford his time, energy, and to so much extent to prove to the people of British Theosophical Society that that a person like KH is there in flesh and bones, and he is not a confederate. And later on he explains why not, why it is so difficult to prove. He is leaving it to time and karma, basically time, or because time is the best healer. So in so many times in history and even now we see that suppose something was taught to a nation or to students for over a long period of time as history, but when certain other things come to light that no, it was not like that, the history was something else that was taught. So time in that sense, and karma, because karma also brings fruit over a period of time, whether short length or long duration. So both of them together will solve the thing, instead of him spending his time and energy, and maybe who knows what the consequences will be, it may become worse. That's what I understand from that.
Yes, it is clear, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Oh, I think today has been a
you.
very long session. Yeah, something.
Just one thing regarding the last thing, that since you brought up these things, that the master's test and about the disciple, that is why we often see that when a person starts walking this path, a lot of ups and downs start happening in the life of the person, depending on the sincerity, dedication, and conviction. A lot of events, incidents, and maybe change of place, meeting new people, losing old people, or you can, imagine in different aspects of life, a lot of events or things start happening in the life of the person, and which means basically a lot of testing and a lot of trials begin to happen, and a lot of people from karma, they are brought to that person, different situations to react and to do possibilities of different things.
True. True. Any other thing anybody would like to add? This has been a very interesting letter with a lot of interesting points to discuss. Perhaps Shindiji would like to say something. Okay. So then with this, we will bring our session to a close. Shikharji? Okay. So thank you all for joining, and we'll end this session with a closing prayer. Om असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति 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 Thank you. Namaste. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Shikharji.
Thank you, Vibhaji. Thank you, Meenakshi-ji. Thank you, everyone, for this session, and all the best wishes. See you later. Namaste.